Welcome to another episode of Learn It from a Hermit. If you're new here, this is a series where I spin a wheel with the names of all the members of Hermitcraft, and whoever that wheel lands on, I make a video going over everything that Hermit can teach me about Minecraft that I don't already know. And I am so sorry that it has taken this long for me to continue this series. I recently got into my own SMP, which is where I'm at right now. So I've been super busy with that, but here we are. So let me shut up and let's just get into spinning the wheel. All right, who is it going to be today? I'm so excited to get back into this series. It's been way too long. Oh, we got Gem. All right, here we go. Now, since I've spun the wheel, I've watched so much of Gem's content because this is going to be my first time watching her. So I started at her season 8 when she first joined Hermitcraft. Then I watched all of her season 9, and now I'm starting on her season 10, as well as a bunch of her building tutorials. And let me tell you, almost everything I learned from Gem has to do with nature, and I love it. As you can see, I'm a bit of a fan of nature myself. So the first thing I'll mention has to do with the 121.5 update, a very nature-based update. And it was Gem that taught me that firefly bushes can be buried underground and still give the firefly effect and create an amazing atmosphere for your build. That is literally what gave me the inspiration to make a base like this, because I absolutely love the atmosphere that the fireflies create. And I think it was in this same video that she taught me that you can use leaf litter as fuel in a furnace. It takes 2 leaf litter to smelt 1 item, and it's so easy to get a lot of. Now it's pretty much the only fuel source that I use. And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure this same exact video is where I learned that they changed the recipe of the lodestones, so now they're way cheaper, which is great. Now let's get a couple embarrassing ones out of the way. There are a few things I learned from Gem where as soon as I learned them, my jaw hit the floor. Not because I was amazed at what I learned, but because I couldn't believe I didn't know about it yet. I don't claim to be a Minecraft pro, but I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to just general information in Minecraft. So, some of these embarrassing things that I learned are, you can find moss blocks in shipwrecks. This is handy for the early days when you're running around looking for all the different types of woods and different blocks you want to snag so you can make farms for them later. Next one is, you can get hanging roots by bone mealing rooted dirt. This made me realize that I forgot hanging roots even existed in the game. The third one is, when you're building a flower farm, just bone meal the ground where you want to build it to see what type of flower is primarily spawning there. That one made me feel really dumb because I've built a few flower farms with just the hopes that it gives me the flowers I want when I could have just checked before I built them. And finally, if you need to travel by boat, but you have a horse with you, just drag them with a lead behind the boat and they will float behind you. Maybe I'm just insane, but do you know how many times I've tried putting a horse in a boat so I could get across an ocean with a horse? Anyways, I couldn't believe I didn't know these things, but also it was just stuff that I didn't think about. But when I saw Gem doing these things, I was just like, duh, that makes perfect sense. Why didn't I think of that? And a little bonus one I'll throw in here. This one is from a video where Gem was building her PC. And in this video, she moved her rug out of the way to eliminate static electricity.
There shall be no static present in this room.
And it turns out static electricity can damage PC parts. Now, I don't know much of anything about PCs and the parts and how they work, but I just thought that was a cool thing to learn. Now back on to the Minecraft side of things, I want to talk about some deeper lessons I learned from Gem. Not necessarily about game mechanics, but more along the lines of how to become a better builder and get more confident in areas of the game you're not used to. Something I noticed about Gem is that in her videos, whenever it seems like she doesn't know what to build or what to do, she throws a quick custom tree somewhere into her base. She is really good at building custom trees and she really enjoys it, so that made me want to try a different approach to building my own base. This is a time lapse from one of my last videos where I was bored, I didn't know what to build, I knew I needed a path done at some point, so I just jumped right into it and free-handed the entire thing, which I'm not used to doing, built some custom trees, which I am not comfortable with building even in creative, and I ended up really liking the way the path came out. And this brings me to my next lesson that Gem taught me. Not only does she just build small things throughout her base all the time, but she seems to hardly ever design stuff in creative first. I'm sure this skill not only took a ton of time and effort to learn and get confident with, but to me, just freehanding stuff in survival makes it so much more I don't know, real and respectable. Not that there's anything wrong with designing in creative first, because this is coming from a person who designs almost everything in creative, because I'm terrified I'm going to try to freehand something in survival and I'm going to get it done and hate it, so then I'm going to waste a bunch of time tearing it down and then get discouraged and just lose patience for that build entirely and not want to do it at all. I am not confident enough in building to just say, what to do? I'll just throw a quick masterpiece of a tree in here real quick. And I'm pretty sure I heard Impulse mention that Gem dedicated a ton of time back in the day to only building in creative. That way she could build confidently in survival and not have to worry about designing things in creative as much. And I think that's a great way to go about it. It just takes a lot of time and patience, and that's something that a lot of us don't have. Wow, I talk a lot. That seems to be a recurring thing in my videos. I really want to start my own podcast sometime soon because of it. And speaking of podcasts, you know what time it is.
What is it that sparked your interest? And was it Minecraft the whole time, or were you doing other stuff?
Well, first of all, we have to take into the context that I was 14. It's not like I was working some job or going to college or had my life figured out anyway. And so I would start watching YouTube videos of people playing Minecraft, and I would find like Etho and B-Dubs and Doc and these Minecraft. I don't even think Hermitcraft was a thing. Like I have this thing where if I see somebody doing something, I just have I could do that. Like, I could do that. Like, and that pretty much applies to most things. I don't think I could do it well, but if I see someone doing something and I'm interested in, I'm like, I can do that. That doesn't look that hard. Like, I could probably figure that out. But yeah, I started recording and editing, and my videos were horrible, but it worked out.
This was my favorite clip from Gem's time on the Imp and Skizz podcast. If you haven't seen the podcast or you don't watch it, I can't recommend it enough. I'll leave a link in the description to Gem's episodes on the podcast, but I always find it so interesting seeing how content creators are as people, you know, learning about how their mind works and hearing the stories about how they got to where they are. I think there's a huge lesson to take from Gem here as well. When you see something new that you think is cool and you find yourself wanting to try it, even if it seems challenging, just go for it. I think it's way too common for people to confuse "I don't know how to do that" with "I can't do that." They are not the same thing. Nobody knows how to do something before they try it for the first time. And this doesn't just apply to YouTube or Minecraft. This can apply to anything. And I'm going to wrap this topic up with a video that I reference all the time. This is a video that I think of anytime I start to question whether I'm going to reach my goals or not.
Do you think you'll join the Hermitcraft team? I would love to join the Hermitcraft team, build with them and meet them and be able to talk to them. That would be amazing. However, I'm at 2,000 subscribers and I don't get that many views, so I feel like it's an unrealistic goal right now.
We do have two new hermits down in this crevice down here, GeminiTay and Pearlescent Moon.
Welcome to Hermitcraft. Thank you for the warm welcome.
So that wasn't the whole video, but you get the gist. I'll leave a link to that video in the description if you want to watch the whole thing. But I tell people about that video all the time. I just love it because in one clip, it shows Gem saying she's only at 2,000 subscribers and joining Hermitcraft isn't realistic right now. And then the very next clip is her joining Hermitcraft. Then you look at her channel now and see that she is just over 2 million subscribers. That is just so cool to see, and it has helped me get out of my head on more than a couple occasions. And while we're on the topic, why don't we give Gem some well-deserved support by subscribing to her channel? There's a link in the description. Now let's get back to some Minecraft stuff, shall we? In Season 9, Gem drained the ocean around an entire ocean monument so she could build a cool guardian farm. This is where I learned the proper way to drain an ocean in survival. She made this sort of grid pattern by placing sand and letting it all fall to the ground and stack up. Then when the grid was done, she used sponges to soak up the water 1 square at a time. Of course, drying the sponges out in the nether instead of in a furnace, which makes this so much easier and faster. So this was great to learn, but also I didn't know that the correct tool to use on a sponge to break it faster is a hoe. So I had to throw that in there. Next lesson I learned is that apparently you can make a beacon beam a certain color by mixing 2 different colors of glass stacked on top of each other. For example, she made a light blue beacon beam by using blue glass and white glass. It's just like mixing different paint together to make a color that you want. I thought that was cool. So this video isn't all nature related tips, but pretty much all of them that I have left are, and I have no problem with that. Now, being a more redstone based player myself, I'm surprised, but also not surprised that I didn't know how to make this glow lichen farm that Gem showed me. It's very simple, so I can't believe I didn't think of it, but also I don't really use glow lichen very much until now. Here's a tip that I thought was really cool. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't stand the tall oak trees. They can be so inconvenient to chop down. But let's say you want to use one in your base for decoration. Then they're great. Well, Gem taught me that you can manipulate an oak sapling to grow into a tall oak tree on purpose by making a little pillar like this and put torches in between that pillar and the sapling, forcing it to grow into a tall oak tree.
Yes! Oh! Okay?
How long has this mechanic been in the game? That is super cool, and I actually have the perfect opportunity to use this mechanic on this path that I need to add some trees to, so I cannot wait to try it. And while we're on the topic of trees, in one of her videos, Gem shared a super simple tip about building trees, and that is to just use leaves as scaffolding or temporary blocks as you're building it. Then that's just less leaves you have to place later. Okay, I was waiting till a little later in the video to talk about this, but what is with the hate on birch wood? Until I started watching Gem's content, I had no idea how many people actually hated on birch.
Well, you didn't use birch. It's like the best block in the game. You used acacia, not birch.
Gem.
Birch is the worst.
Yeah.
Birch is
No.
bad. That birch in the distance is hideous.
That's my home, Corrales. The birch, like you have diorite. It's
He's
like it's
gotta be
almost
kind-
meant to be, right? Like it's not bad.
Tear it down.
Flint and steel, burn down.
I mean, I guess I understand the argument. People say it's got white and black in the same block. It's too much of a contrast, and that's fine. It's okay to have the wrong opinion. I've just never seen a problem with birch. I mean, you could say the same thing about any block. If it doesn't fit the style you're building in, it's gonna look weird. But let's say it does fit the style you're building in, then it looks really cool, in my opinion anyway. Okay, that is enough ranting about wood. Wow, we are moving right along in this video. If you're enjoying it so far, consider leaving a like and share this video. I think it would be so cool if I could get the Hermits to watch their episodes of this series, because it would be an amazing way for me to say thank you for all the things that they've taught me over the years. And also put down in the comments something that you've learned from Gem. I'm sure there are plenty of things that I can't fit into just this one video. Okay, I have a couple more non-nature related lessons to share. Then I'll wrap the video up with one of my favorite lessons from Gem that I found. So in Gem Season 9, I found out that if you place a wall in between two fences, you can actually fit through the gap between them. This can make for an interesting entrance or a gate to something, and we gotta talk about her PvP skills. I know she loves MCC, and it's so much fun to watch. If you've never watched MCC, you need to check it out. It's like the Minecraft Olympics. I don't even care about sports in real life, but you throw an MCC stream up? Come on now. Anyways, Gem taught me an interesting tip when fighting someone, and I've talked a lot in this video, so I'll let Gem do the talking for this one.
I know there's a trick like after you hit or after you've been hit that you want to let go of sprints and then
Yeah, you don't want to
re-sprint.
sprint because you won't crit.
Oh, you don't want to sprint.
Yeah, so you sprint at somebody, but then you like press S really quickly, your back key to stop sprinting, so then you can crit them really hard.
Oh, really? Okay, that's a new one for me.
When I knock you up, I want you to hit me when you're in like the top part of being knocked up so that you crit me when you're coming down, okay? Yeah, see?
Like
Crit.
that, yeah.
So that's how you counter crit. So when you get knocked up, you
Okay.
can use that momentum to crit them, and that'll do more damage than their original hit.
I'm not much of a PvPer, but I recently got invited to a series where it may come in handy, so this was really helpful to learn. Now, this one was very interesting. I've never even heard of this being a thing, but if you ride a boat to the ground from high up, apparently there are several specific heights that will actually break the boat and allow the player to take damage. But I tested this at every one of these heights, and for some reason, I couldn't get it to work. Apparently, this bug hasn't been patched as of 121.7, but I still couldn't get it to work. I don't know why I'm so intrigued by this one. Like, why just these numbers, and what's the significance of these numbers specifically? I have so many questions. Let me know in the comments if you know anything about why this mechanic even exists. And another cool little mechanic Gem taught me was that as of the 1.18 or the Caves and Cliffs update, iron is now more likely to spawn at higher elevations such as mountains. I thought this was super helpful. And now it's time for the final lesson that I learned from Gem. You know, it's really difficult to decide where to end these videos because I feel like sometimes I find so many things that I learned from a hermit that I can't just fit into a 15-minute video. This is another reason I want to start a podcast, because if you haven't guessed, I talk a lot, especially when it's about a topic I'm super interested in. So maybe one day I can get a hermit on some sort of like podcast or video, and we can do a personal Learn It From a Hermit series. That would be so cool. I think that would be an incredibly fun thing to do. Now that seems like an unrealistic goal right now, but with the help of you amazing viewers, maybe one day we could make that happen. So for this last lesson, I wanted it to be one that was a little deeper and not just some game mechanic or crafting recipe I didn't know about. So one big thing that I picked up from Gem was something I noticed about her Guardian farm in season 9, and that was the way that she put grass around it. I don't know what it is about having grass here that makes this build so satisfying to me, and I came to the conclusion that it's because the grass doesn't belong there. Maybe an amazing build hack is just to make your own landscape, but do it with certain blocks that contrast the area that it's in, but also contain it to your build in a way that makes your build look even more intentional. I think if you do it this way, it makes whatever you build in that area look like more of a centerpiece, and it really draws your attention to it. Maybe it's just me, but I absolutely love this look in a Minecraft build, and I think Gem executed it perfectly. So that's gonna do it for this episode of Learn It From a Hermit. Let me know if you learned anything new, and let me know your favorite thing you've learned from Gem. Be sure to like, subscribe, and do all those YouTube things so that maybe one day I can do some sort of podcast / Learn It From a Hermit series. You have no idea how interested I would be to make something like that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.